I'm in such appreciation. I have two questions. I have had a lot of contrast, in my life.
I have chosen,
I have
without knowing that
chosen-
I was actually choosing,
exactly
a lot of beneficial contrast that has helped me now be a better chooser,
absolutely,
a more informed chooser.
absolutely.
Really good. Next.
It's a gift. All of it has been a gift. I've no doubt about it. But my question is it? I've written a book, Everything is a Gift, about my life, about that contrast. But there's a part of me now, of where I am, that goes, is that really helpful to anyone else? Or is it something that was just my own process to come to this point of where I am? And I allow it to just be all in the past. Because there's a part of me, if I speak about the contrast things that have happened, that I chose, that have brought me great learning, I'm not always sure that that momentum is good.
Well, the momentum is never good for you to go back and reactivate something that didn't feel good at the time. But the thing is, once you move through it, in other words, these contrasting experiences, each time you had one caused you to ask for something more. And then at some point along the way, you did a better job of focusing on wanted than unwanted. And so a sort of tipping happened in your vibrational being where now more things wanted are your experience. This is the most significant thing that you're asking. Let's start in another place. You're going to like this. With everything that's manifested, Esther was looking at a wall in her home that took a lot of tries and fails in order to get it to a place that pleased them. Rock masons brought rock in and then they tore it down, and then rock masons brought more rock in and then they tore it down, and then rock masons brought more rock in and then they tore it down, and rock masons brought more rock in and then they tore it down. But each time Jerry and Esther got closer to defining what they were looking for until they found it. And so now when Esther looks at that wall, it includes all that happened in order to accomplish it. And not just because the wall now feels like perfection to Esther, but because it holds in it vibrationally all of the glorious focusing and choosing that came along the way. And so was it right when they found what they wanted, and was it wrong every time that they didn't? They couldn't have found what they wanted if they hadn't been. And we know this sounds like not a very fair comparison, but we want to distract you from your traumas while you listen to the principles within things. And the principle within it is that where that wall now stands holds all of the experience that accomplished it. And as Esther now acknowledges the wall in its perfection, she now, after the fact, understands that it was perfect all along the way. Well, as it was happening, it didn't feel perfect all along the way. It was, how many damn loads of rocks are we going to have to bring over here? And why don't they bring the rock we pointed out? What's this rock? I never saw that rock at the quarry. I never asked for that rock. Why don't they keep the same guy on the job? Why doesn't the guy that we showed the rock to, why doesn't he put the rock in the truck? And why don't they send a mason that knows what he's doing? And why doesn't the grout match the rock? Those were some of the contrasting experiences that they were having along the way, and now all of them feel precious and perfect and necessary to the unfolding. Now, could Jerry and Esther have been at the place where they would have just, in their divine enlightenment, in their perfect alignment to source energy, could they have just said, boom? No. And would you really want to? But this is the question that you're asking. The question that you're asking is, so is it of benefit to anyone else? As people come and look at the rock wall that is me, what benefit are they going to receive from it? And we say, just be the rock wall, be the perfection that you are, and don't put a lot of emphasis on what it took you to get there, because you will dilute your own message by being less than you have evolved to be. But hear us. There is a possibility that you may have misunderstood what we said. You may think that what we said was, achieve perfection before you teach anybody anything, or achieve perfection before you present yourself anywhere. You're already at some perfect place, and there are so many who are benefiting by their vibrational involvement with you.
Yes, I understand that.
So did we get there?
Yes, we did get there. Is it helpful to the crowd to say very quickly what I've experienced or not?
So the question is, do you like me where I am, or do you need to know how I got here? That's the question. And that's the question that you want to ask of yourselves, Olive. Do you like me where I am, or do you need to know how I got here? Because if you need to know how I got here, I could activate within you some things that are less beneficial to you. In other words, we would never step back. There's no regression. There's no regression. And you've brought us to the most important statement of this day. Your inner being, through your experience, has evolved to a very powerful point of attraction. And what gives you less than satisfaction, what gives you negative emotion, is when you try to remember something back here that your inner being is not focusing on at all. So here's another powerful statement that speaks to it more bluntly. Your inner being never looks back. Ever. Ever.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay. That's extremely helpful.
So what happens in your desire to find relevance or approval, or even get them to know where you're coming from, there's a tendency to want to speak too much about where you've come from, which just confuses them.
Mm-hmm. I understand that.
One more thing. Every time you talk about the evolution along the way, vibrationally speaking, you're back there instead of over here.
That's what I've been feeling.
Yeah. As you stand in the fullness of who you are, you could speak in rather general terms, but
no,
yeah. You just have to decide what it is you're teaching. Esther and some friends went to a movie the other day. And when they came out, there was a scene in the movie where a little boy tore a whole room up. He just beat the room up with everything, just tore the room down. Everything in the room he destroyed. And when the movie was over, they wanted to do that to the theater. So
I get it. I get it.
We think you got it.